Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. We continue reading from the 40 principles of the religion, the 40 fundamentals, Al-Arba Usul by Imam Al-Ghazali rahimahullah. Wa nafa'na bihi darain. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Treating the filthy trait of pride. The summative treatment for curbing the filthy trait of pride is for a person to know himself, for he is at first a scattered sperm drop. In the end, he is a foul corpse. And between these two, he carries filth. Filth is, Imam Al-Ghazali does specify, I would say, he carries feces. Like if you talk about, it is hidden, it is covered, it's in your colon, but that's what it is. He should understand the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قتل الإنسان ما أكفره من أي شيء خلقه من نطفة خلقه فقدره ثم السبيل يسره ثم أماته فأقبره. Man is destroyed. How ungrateful he is. From what thing did he create him? From a sperm drop he created him and then measured out his destiny. Then he facilitated the way for him. Then he causes him to die and buries him. Hence, Imam Al-Ghazali comments, he should know that he was created from the silence of non-existence, which is a really remarkable way of describing, even when you say before the Big Bang took place, before that first moment in existence, which is very fascinating. Of course, it's going to be silent. Of course, it's going to be silent. Astrophysicists could go back all the way to almost time equals zero, and then they stop. The believers and non-believers cannot really explain the, we say metaphorically, the birth of the universe. Of course, we say ex nihilo, we don't understand. But we know for sure that there wasn't. You can reverse the movement of these galaxies until they go back to a point from which basically they sprang in a fraction of a second. Extreme high speed, extreme temperatures. But Imam Al-Ghazali refers to that which was before. And before is also problematic because time only exists in relation to movement in space. This is the meaning of Katm al-Adam, silence of non-existence, and was nothing. Hence, he should know that he was created from the silence of non-existence and was nothing, not even mentioned, and there is nothing that is less than nothingness. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him from dirt. earth, then a drop of sperm, then a clinging form, then a piece of flesh. He had no hearing and no sight, no life and no power. Allah created all of that for him, yet he is still deficient in the extreme. Sickness and disease overcome him, and his natural components are in opposition to one another, some of them destroying others. He becomes sick against his will, hungry against his will, thirsty against his will. He wants to know a thing, yet is ignorant of it. He wants to forget a thing, yet remembers it. He dislikes something that benefits him and desires something that harms him. Of course. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا. Not for a moment is he secure from losing his life, his mind, his health, or an organ or limb from his body. Not even for a moment he is secure. It takes 1 second. Then finally he dies. And is subjected to punishment and accountability. If he is from the people of hell, then a pig is better than him. So in what sense does pride befit him when he is a lowly slave possessed by another and is unable to do anything? Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah said to someone who walked with a swagger, "This is not the walk of someone who has excrement in his guts." How does pride suit the one who has to clean waste of his body at least twice a day and has to carry it all the time? Again, carry it in his intestines. Treating pride by considering the object of pride. A detailed discussion of the treatment of pride must be in reference to what pride is taken in, which are 4 qualities. The first is knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The sickness of knowledge is conceit." Okay. First of all, it's not really a hadith. So Ibn Subki said, "Lam ajid lahu isnadan." He could not find a chain of narrators for this particular phrase. But then again, the really it is that which destroys true knowledge. And we don't talk about technical knowledge, really. At any rate, it's not a hadith. And the next one, we'll talk about its chain of narrators. The Prophet ﷺ also said, do not be among the high-handed scholars, for your knowledge would not compensate for your ignorance. This is not a hadith. It has been narrated all the way to Umar al-Khattab, but again, even that chain is very weak. It's not the Prophet ﷺ. You'll find that it's been attributed to Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, but the chain narrator is very weak. It is rare that a scholar is free from the sickness of pride. Indeed, he sees himself as being above people with his knowledge, which is the most honorable virtue according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes he's arrogant with religion, regarding himself as superior to others, according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes he's arrogant concerning the world, regarding his right as an obligation on people, and being taken aback if they do not humble themselves to him. It is more fitting that this type of person he called ignorant. Real knowledge is that through which he knows his Lord and himself, the risk of his life ending in a bad state. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's proof against him. Real knowledge is to pay close attention to the risk of his life ending in a bad state. Not to see any ignorant person without saying, perhaps he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ignorance. But I have disobeyed him with knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's proof against me is more firmly established. Abu Darda radiallahu anh said, whoever increases in knowledge increases in humility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran, وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ لِمَنِ اتَّبَعَكَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Be humble with whoever follows you from the believers. In the following hadith is not really a hadith. It has been attributed to attributed the Al-Abbas radiallahu anh. There will be a people who recite the Quran, yet it will not pass their throats. It does not touch their hearts. That's the meaning. Despite the fact it's not a hadith, we'll just look at the meaning. They will say, we have recited the Quran, and who is more well versed in it than us? Who is more knowledgeable than us? Then he turned and said, these people are from you, O community of believers. These people are fuel for hell. The pious predecessors in a short comment by Imam Al-Ghazali before he turns to Sayyidina Hudayfa radiallahu anh, the pious predecessors would strongly warn against this, to the point that Hudayfa radiallahu anh once led some people in prayer. When he closed the prayer, he said, you must either choose an imam other than me or pray individually. I sensed within myself that there was no one among the people better than me. Indeed, it's a test to be in any position, especially if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gifted you with a beautiful voice, memorization of the Quran, understanding the hadith, knowing the hadith, the interpretation, Quranic exegesis, enable you to be eloquent, say that even the Imam is handsome, and that's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a beautiful voice, then he might be tempted That's really the struggle with one's ego is daily. It's not once in a lifetime. A person should think how many Muslims looked at Umar radiallahu anhu before he converted to Islam and disdained him. The final deeds of Umar radiallahu anhu were what they were. Perhaps that Muslim who disdained him apostatized after the conversion of Umar. Thus the arrogant one was from the people of hell, and the one who was viewed arrogantly was from the people of paradise. There is no scholar for whom it is not conceivable that his life will end in a bad state, and that the ignorant person's life may end in happiness. How can there be any arrogance while knowing this? The Prophet ﷺ said, a scholar will be brought on the day of resurrection and thrown in hell. His guts will be spilled out, and he will rotate around them like donkeys rotate around a handmill. The people of hell will gather around him and say, What is with you? He will say, I used to command good, yet I did not come with any, and forbid evil, yet I came with it. Is narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. What scholar is safe from this? What scholar is safe from that? Why does his fear not preoccupy him from being arrogant when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said regarding Bal'am ibn Ba'ura, one of the greatest Jewish scholars of the people of the book in the past, distant past of course, because he clung to his desires. فَمَثَلُهُ كَمَثَلِ الْكَلْبِ إِن تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْهِ يَلْهَثْ أَوْ تَتْرُكْهُ يَلْهَثْ. His likeness is that of a dog. If you drive it away, it will loll out its tongue, and if you leave it alone, it will still loll out its tongue. He also said to the Jewish scholars, كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا. They are like donkeys carrying books, meaning the donkeys do not benefit from the books that they carry, no matter what the number is. And it should also be a warning to us, so that message could go in every direction. Beware of not benefiting from the books, or attribute anything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that cannot be revelation. There are quite few places in the I would say the Old Testament, because it's not only the 5 book of Moses, but even that includes that group includes messages that must have been inserted over the centuries, millennia in fact, that cannot be revelation. That's a long story, but in the book of Psalms 137:9, the order to destroy the babies of the enemies against the rocks. I think it's blasphemous to attribute something like this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it could be aiding, if people communicate the message and they try to justify it, and they could be aiding war crimes when done on a large scale. If one person does it, that's a crime. But if a whole people or a whole state is doing that, then definitely we talk about crimes against humanity. He should examine the reports that are related to concerning evil scholars until fear overcomes his pride. Pride remains in spite of this only for the one who is preoccupied with sciences, that are not beneficial for the religion, like debate, language, and others, or the one who is preoccupied with knowledge yet is filthy within, so his filth increases because of it. The second reason for pride is piety and devout worship. The devout worshipper is not devoid of inward pride. The foolishness of some of them has even gone to the point that they regard people's misfortunes and triumphs as being because of their miracle working. Thus, whoever dies or becomes sick, they say about them, "You have already seen what Allah has done to him." They might say, if they are offended, "You will see what will happen when you cross me." These fools do not know what a group of disbelievers assaulted the prophets and did harm to them, yet they were given plenty in this world, and vengeance was not taken upon them. Indeed, you don't know what's in store for them. Some may have converted to Islam and attained happiness in this world and the afterlife. And the usual example that I give is the Dutch member of the parliament, the Geert Wilders party, which made it, that they made it incumbent upon themselves to demonize Islam, dehumanize Muslims, produce media, whether we talk about movies or against Islam, against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one of those members of the parliament, in his search, just looking for something to use it against Islam and Muslims, while reading about the Islamic literature, he was convinced that really Islam is right. And he became Muslim, and I saw a picture of him in Mecca. He was honored by doing a little bit of embroidery of the cover of the Kaaba, which is a beautiful thing. So look at him, how he changed course. You never know. You never know what's in store. So it is as if they see themselves as superior to the prophets, and those that offend them are more despicable than the disbelievers. The right thing for a devout worshipper is to do when he looks at a scholar is to be humble with him due to his ignorance. If he looks at an open sinner, he should say, maybe he has an inner trait that covers his outer acts of disobedience. And maybe there is envy, ostentation, or an inner filth for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala despises me, and thus will not accept will not accept my outer deeds. Yeah, it should be accept. That's a mistake. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at the hearts, not the forms. And among the inner filth of the heart is pride. It has been narrated that a man from the children of Israel who was called the profligate of Israel, like he's the rejected, if you will, due to his extreme corruption. He was ostracized, sat with the devout worshipper of the children of Israel, The profligate said, perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy on me through this his blessing, the blessing of this devout worshipper. The devout worshipper said to him, how could the likes of this open sinner sit with me? He said to him, get away from me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet of that time, go to each of them and tell them to start anew, for I have forgiven the profligate and annulled the deeds of the devout worshipper. It is narrated that a man stepped on the neck of a devout worshipper of the children of Israel while he was prostrating. He said to him, get up, for by Allah, Allah will not forgive you. So Allah revealed to him, O you who have sworn by me to the contrary, it is you whom Allah will not forgive. And of course, it's more nuanced. It's more nuanced in Arabic. It's not only "O you who has sworn by me." أيها المتألي علي. That basically you are as if you are God, as if you are making a decision. You shouldn't. That's a problem. Of course, he has sworn by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he also, muta'alli, he is it's not of his business to he doesn't have the key to paradise and hellfire. He is not the judge on the day of judgment. That's the problem with it. Hence the smart ones are very careful about this and say what Ta'ata Sulami used to say, despite his extreme piety, whenever there was a strong wind or lightning, a storm, none of this, he would say, none of this afflicts people except because of me. If Ata were to die, he said, they would be freed from it. Someone once said on Arafat, Mount Arafah, in the vicinity of Mecca, I would hope for mercy for all of them, all the people who gathered there on the day of Hajj. Because Al-Hajj Arafah. Were I not here among them, he considered himself as an impediment to the general mercy, clemency by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Examine the huge difference between someone who is sincere about his deeds and piety and thus fears for himself versus someone who grudgingly performs outer deeds that might not be free from ostentation and other ailments, then acts as though he is doing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a favor by his action. The third reason is pride about lineage. Its treatment is that a person examines his lineage, for indeed his father was a scattered sperm drop and his grandfather was dirt. His grandfather, not the immediate grandfather, meaning that his origin, he was created from dirt. There is nothing nastier than a drop of semen and nothing lower than dirt. Furthermore, the one who boasts of lineage is boasting about the qualities of other people, predecessors. If his forefathers were to speak, they would surely say, what's so special about you in particular? You are nothing but a worm in the urine of the one who has a good quality. For this reason, it is said, if you boast about high-born forefathers, you have told the truth, but what an awful thing they produced. Meaning, yes, your forefathers were excellent, but look at their offspring, and not that good. Not that good. How can someone be arrogant about having the lineage of wealthy people when they might be burned to ashes in hell and would wish to be pigs and dogs just to get out of the plight they are in. Um, but let's remember theologically. I'm just simply because when he said burn to ashes, one might have the image that that's it. People will be burnt and then they will disappear. No, their skins. The Quran is their skins will be renewed, so that they. And you know very well that the how pain is perceived. You need to have the skin. You need to have the sensors. That is granted. How can someone be arrogant about having the lineage of religious people when they themselves were never arrogant? Their honor was through their religiousness, their piety, and part of that religiousness was humility. One of them would say, "If only I were a piece of straw," or "If only I were a bird." All of them were preoccupied with fear of the disastrous end that would result from pride, despite their knowledge and their works. So, how could someone who is bereft of their qualities be arrogant about having their lineage? The fourth reason is pride due to wealth, beauty, or having followers. Pride due to these things is ignorance, for indeed they are not innate qualities, but by this I mean wealth and having followers. How can someone be arrogant about a quality for which the hand of the thief and the robber is outstretched? Of course, wealth could practically disappear, people could become bankrupt. How can someone boast about beauty when a month's fever spoils it and smallpox removes it? A month's fever? Why a month today? I give the example. If really physical beauty without the heart, the inner, that the soul, the spirit. So the soul not really reflecting that beauty, or in fact, contrary to that beauty. I say so. This if someone marries a woman only because of her looks, and she is definitely she has all these negative personal traits, like the character is really bad, but he simply he did not care because of the beauty, physical. And let's say that he was driving a little bit speeding, she ignored the requirement of buckling up. So, and out of a sudden, he saw the red, he saw the green light turning orange. He should have stopped, but he continues, and he slams he speeds up a little bit more even, and he slams into another truck that was passing from the other side, and she goes through the windshield. She doesn't die, but her face now is destroyed beyond recognition, and you can do nothing about it. No cosmetic surgeries could fix that. It takes 1 second, not a month. Really, if an attractive person were to think about the nasty mess within his body, it would astonish him such that he forgot his superficial adornment. If an attractive person were to neglect taking care of his body through bathing and cleaning for a week, he would become nastier than a corpse, a dead body. Bad breath, body odor, stench of waste, grossness of dirt, snot, and ruin. In what sense can a rubbish dump boast about its beauty? A human being is in reality a rubbish dump, for truly he is a source of nastiness and filth. But Alhamdulillah for the guidance, the Sunnah, through which we cleanse, but we should always tend to the beauty, like of the heart, meaning that the cleansing, yes, cleaning and cleansing the outer dimension, if you will, is important, but cleansing the heart is most important. So, inshallah, we are done with the with this fundamental, with, pride. And tomorrow, inshallah, we'll deal with the 9th principle, 29th, self-admiration, al-ujb. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.